Welcome to the 30-Minute Hour. It's the weekly podcast where we discuss business, sports, politics, and whatever's on our mind. I'm your host, Eric Twiggs, your procrastination prevention partner. I'm also the author of The Discipline of Now, 12 Practical Principles to Overcome Procrastination. Joining me as always is Ted Fells. He's the business strategist extraordinaire. He's a super CEO and all-around good guy.
Greetings, everyone.
All right. So, Ted, we've got some special guests today. We're going to introduce them in a second. There's two additional squares with us representing an outstanding company. We'll talk about them in just a second. But first, Ted, I just want to talk about this past Saturday. Man, what an event. What an event. The What Now Movement Business Summit. Man, it was exceptional. Ted, what were your thoughts on the experience? Let's tell the people what transpired for those who may have missed it.
Without trying to sound too biased, it was the greatest summit I've ever been to. No, it was great. It was a great event. It was well attended, some great comments, great content. It was just, so many people that have just kind of latched on to the movement and excited about the possibilities of it. So yeah, I mean, everything from pivoting in your business to, how to author, write your book, to some mental health consultants. I mean, it was just so much in there. There's just so much that was packed into that day. I'm still trying to recover from it, 2 days later.
Yeah, I mean, it was amazing. I mean, just from like you said, from the speakers to the panel discussion that took place. And I thought it was just amazing how, we had the people who were participating on the panel who initially told us, oh, you know what, I'm going to do my part and just keep going because my day is busy. But they stayed for the entire time and were contributing and were getting value out of it. So I would definitely encourage everyone to go to the What Now Movement group. First off, we've got a public page you can go to and like that, but there's a What Now Movement private group. The point of the group is to equip entrepreneurs, authors, and career professionals to become more creative and more innovative and to be able to respond to the curveballs of life. So it's a movement, it's a supportive environment. Make sure you go to that What Now Movement group. And by the way, when you go to the group, you can watch the video of the summit from Saturday from 10 to 3. And again, it was amazing. So please make sure you check that out. So Ted, I've got something that's on my mind.
Shocking.
But before I tell you that, I need to point out to everybody that this is not your everyday podcast. You can check us out here. You can also check us out on our website, the30minutehour.net, where you can see the audios and the videos we've got of previous episodes. But yeah, Ted, I've got something on my mind. I know that surprises you. That we would do a podcast and actually have thoughts. I know that's surprising. I know.
That's right. We want to disappoint our followers without having something to share.
Right. Now, speaking of the followers, those of you that are watching us right now, please comment, say hello. We'll be checking. You got questions, you can ask your questions as we go. I see we've got the numbers starting to pile up there. But yeah, I do have something on my mind. And I want to talk about how to magnify your income. That's right. How to magnify your income. So I was inspired by our guest today when I was thinking about this, but I was also inspired by The Last Dance, which is finally has ended. It's been 10 weeks.
Man, what are we going to do now that The Last Dance is over?
That's been my Sunday night from 9 to 11 has been blocked off.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow.
Watching The Last Dance. So check this out. And I was really thinking about our guests as I was thinking about this too. So the year was 1994.
Mhm.
And despite winning the Defensive Player of the Year award and leading the NBA in rebounding for 5 seasons, Dennis Rodman was making only $2 million a year, and he was getting paid on the court, and he had 0 in endorsements.
Mm.
And he was struggling financially. Right? That was 1994. So later that year, he was introduced to a stylist named David Chopper, who convinced Rodman to start dyeing his hair in different colors. Sometimes he'd wear red, sometimes he'd wear pink, he'd have purple, emerald green. And everybody said, oh, Dennis Rodman is just so crazy, he's insane. So by 1997, he was earning $10 million a year off the court in endorsements.
Mm.
Here's the big takeaway from that. When they want to lean in, this shows us that managing, as he leans in, managing your income, managing your image can magnify your income. That's the big takeaway. When you manage your image, you can magnify your income. Let's think about it. In business, just being good at what you do doesn't guarantee financial success.
Mm-hmm.
Dennis Rodman was good at what he did, but he wasn't making any money off of the court. And for those of you watching this, you have to understand that your customers, if you have a business, they have unlimited choices. There's a lot of IT companies, right, Ted?
Yeah.
You look for speakers. There's a lot of speakers on the market. There's a lot of authors. We'll interview 50 plus authors this year, you and I, Ted, throughout the course of this year. Even if you're a career professional, if you think about it, your boss has all kinds of choices between candidates to promote for that position or promote to the next level. So the key is that you have to embrace a unique style. And that can be the difference that makes the difference. It's all about that style. You can't be like everybody else. Dennis Rodman started making money when he started to differentiate himself, when he really started to think about his style. And our guests, they mentioned this quote about style. I want to ask them about it, but this really segues into this next segment. So our guest today, I'll introduce her and we'll introduce her partner. But she's a fashion and retail connoisseur who can help you to embrace a unique lifestyle or embrace a unique style.
Nice.
So it all began through her print and runway modeling in her early 20s. Coming from a family of entrepreneurs, it was only natural for her to fuse her love for style with her innate business acumen. In the late 90s and several years thereafter, she made a name for herself through her mobile boutique, The Right Image. Through The Right Image, Rosetta sold opulent jewelry, suits, and other highly coveted fashion goods to ladies in the Washington, D.C. area and beyond. In July of 2019, Rosetta and her business partner, Adisa, launched Coco Collective and introduced the world to its landmark brand, Coco Bomani. Please join me in welcoming to the 30-Minute Hour podcast, Rosetta Wright and Adisa Bomani.
Yeah.
All right.
Hello, world.
I'm excited about it.
I tell you what, it is an honor and a privilege to have you both on the podcast. I know we got to talk about Rosetta's background briefly in an introduction. So Adisa, tell us about yourself and your background, how you got to this point.
Ooh, my background, I'm a native Washingtonian, born and raised, high school, elementary school, high school, even college, University of DC. I majored in mass media communications, so I always had an affinity for, mass media or television production. I kind of segued from that into telecommunications. So I worked as a consultant doing 8A small business, Alaska Native corporations, and going after telecom contracts. Work with NEC, AT&T, Lucent, Verizon, some private small vendors, Arctic Slope, Bering Straits. If anybody knows those names, some those are pretty big small businesses, so to speak.
Very
So I
familiar.
kind of always had an affinity because the DC area, at least my circle in the 1980s, everybody was very progressive with trying to either do a business. Oh no, you can run into anybody. What you doing? Oh, I have my own business. It's like, well, what kind of business? Well, I'm doing these federal contracts on my 8A contract. I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to do that. So that was my circle. It was very competitive, actually. And some of those guys were very successful. Some of them graduated 8A and did very well. But it's a slope. It's a rocky slope. Again, I was in telecom. I traveled Japan back and forth, doing all kind of little things, but also had an affinity for, like you mentioned, style, right? Because just in the presentation of going into the Office of Small Business and Utilizations, you kind of have to present yourself in a certain way, right? It's all about your dialogue, your first impression, right? Or which some of you guys might know, your capability statement, right? But it's also, who am I doing business with? How do they carry themselves? What do they do? What do they like? So it's not about being overboard in your fashion, but just being just right. And a lot of times we kind of had to wear both personalities in DC. Definitely during that time of the 80s, you might have to wear a corporate tie in the morning and take that tie off by the time you get off the train as you walk through the cities in the 80s. I mean, DC was interesting in the 80s, a lot going on. So, but we kind of stayed in the right circles, Inner Caucus was a big group that actually did parties and things. I also was a DJ, I'm a musician, so I got a lot of little hidden talents. And, even back in the day of 80s, back in the Paragon and stuff, I even worked with a modeling troupe called Savoir Faire. I was part of a modeling troupe in my high school called the Fashionable Gents, So it's all these little things that you kind of get spawned off into, and you just kind of do, and I just kind of took it that way. But some paid off, some don't, and then somehow, some way, it came full circle, as I ran into Coco Rosetta Wright, front row. And I just thought that she was the good personality for this business model, and that's really it in a nutshell. I'm not going to talk too much. I'll let her kind of go into it. But in a nutshell, she gets mad at me when I say she was chosen, but she was chosen to kind of fit this role because again, she had her own business, which was The Right Image. Rosetta loves clothes. She has a beautiful personality. People gravitate to her. She's a choir director. Whenever you see her, it's always Ro. So I felt like she was the best personality, and also me doing some data analytics, which is also my background. Women buy more than men, and trying to approach maybe it's marketing, right? Women buy more than men, and then also women in a middle class or certain demographic have an affinity to purchase more spontaneously than men. So with Black women being single moms or they just do things to kind of appease themselves by making small micro purchases, right? Men, if we bought a pair of pants, we bought a suit, that suit can range from $150 suit is a cheap suit for us, at least for me. And but a $150 suit for a woman, that might be an expensive suit. So it's more of a better purchase in a sense. So I thought Ro was a good fit for attracting what I was trying to do from a data analytics perspective as we created an e-commerce platform.
Awesome. So Rosetta, I wanted to just ask you a question. I was looking here, and you quote fashion designer Rachel Zoe, who says, "Style is a way to say who you are without having to speak." What's the significance of that? What does that mean to you?
Well, we always have this little saying that you make the clothes don't make you. So, when you walk out, what you wear and how you wear it, it speaks for you without you even having to say a word. So I just think that you know, some people always focus on the price of clothes and so forth, and it doesn't necessarily mean the price of clothes will make you look good. It could be, you could walk in a $10 store, but if you know how to put that outfit together, you can look like you just walked in. You know, they do a lot of comparisons of a regular little store opposed to a Gucci store, and they might have the same make, but it's not by Gucci or whatever big name label. But they put them together to see if you recognize who has on the more expensive item. And a lot of times they don't really know. We only know because the label says Gucci Prada, but you make the clothes. You have to wear them, and I try to make sure women can wear them well. I don't like to put women in anything just because they want to put it on. I am not the person who's going to say, "Oh yes, you look wonderful in that." You know, if they don't, I would like to tell them, "Hey, let's try something else." You know, and so I think that's important because a lot of women will walk out thinking, "Hey, I know I'm looking good," and it's not necessarily true. So, you know,
And I
I
tell you
like to
what,
assist in that area.
I think that honesty is really valued when you find someone that's going to tell you, no, that's not your look. You know?
That's
But
right.
let's,
When Eric and I are out shopping all the time, I tell Eric that, something is not his look. So I'm always honest with him.
yeah, sometimes the truth hurts, I guess, huh? Yeah. All right, but but no, but that definitely that's what people need. I think that honesty. So you were a model, Rosetta, and talk about how did you make that transition from modeling to what you're doing now?
Again, I've always liked fashion. I was, I started, I did a pageant, was called Miss Photogenic Pageant.
Hmm.
Um, and you know, someone had asked me to back, and I think that was in '87. I was asked to be in this pageant, and I didn't win the pageant, but it was a great experience. And at that pageant, the top hair designer, Barry Fletcher, at that time, who had just won a Rolls Royce for doing hair, um, in fact, the girl that he sponsored had won. And but he came and found me and said, he said, you know, I'm really interested in your look for my magazine. And I'm thinking, oh my God, your girl was just beautiful that just won. So, you know, but it just caught me off guard. And so I and went and stood in line for this long. Here I'm thinking I'm going to, I'm in this book. I've made it. No, you had to stand in line with the rest of the models who were trying to get in the book as well. So anyway, I was chosen out of that group of women, probably 100 women lined up down the street, but I was chosen for that, and that started it. I started modeling for um, the hair magazines, doing print, and did a few runway shows with them. And hey Ted, I danced on Dance Connection, if you can recall. And
There's connection.
and so with all that, probably around 1996, I went to Atlanta. My cousin had invited me to come to Atlanta, and she said it was this place called the Apparel Mart. And she said that they had 15 floors of nothing but clothes, jewelry, everything you could want. And you could come in and be a wholesale buyer. And the first day I walked in there, it was absolutely amazing. And all of a sudden, I started thinking, can I sell clothes? I always love clothes. People always compliment my clothes, but can I sell it? That's a whole nother thing. And so I went back a couple weeks later. Um, an investor, a group of guys, said they would invest in me doing it. So they had confidence that I could do it. And so I went back and I bought clothes and brought them back here and jewelry, and I sold so fast because I worked for Verizon, been there for 36 years, still there. And so and I came back and I realized I could do that. And so I had so many customers, and I did it for about 6 years. But it was a lot being traveling with your trunk full of clothes, going to all the women's homes and dressing them. I loved that part of it, but just hauling those clothes everywhere was a little difficult after a while. But I loved it. And I always wanted to have a boutique after that. I was like, I would love to be able to set up and have a boutique, but I kind of left it alone. Nothing was really manifesting as far as me getting a boutique. So I just continued to work and just went on about life. And then this came about last year.
Wow.
Me and Mr. Bomani talked about it, and he kept asking me, what do you think about this logo? And and I was thinking, logo for what? I'm not selling no more clothes. I'm not driving around selling clothes. And so he just kind of kept pricking about this logo. And finally I said, I love the logo. I just don't want to be anything like Coco Chanel. And so he was like, no, let's just talk about it. So we ended up with Coco Collective, and and he was interested in the high-end clothes, and I was as well. But I thought to myself, in order for us to raise money, I said, I need one T-shirt to sell so we can get started. I said, if I can get friends to start buying like one T-shirt that we make, then that'll help raise money and we can go and start buying clothes again and start selling. And I mean, one T-shirt has now turned into 25 different T-shirts.
Wow.
And so that has been what we've been doing. I mean, the T-shirts have been hot. I mean, we have been so surprised at how many people have bought T-shirts. And I mean, I have some women that have bought 7, 8 T-shirts a piece.
Mm-hmm.
And we just started selling them in November. And so, but it's been great. I mean, it's exciting. Every day it's exciting. Bomani will never stop designing. he doesn't quit. And so that's exciting for me because I don't have to do that piece of it. But he's fantastic. He's fantastic. I mean, we've known each other for 12 years. And so we really bond well with this. This is exciting for us.
You know, it's amazing. Rosetta is like family. We've known each other for so many years. And then when I saw her putting something out about her clothing line, and I just wanted to take a look, and I looked at stuff. I'm like, wow. I'm clicking, I'm going through stuff. So I've been doing a lot of stalking of your stuff and just checking it out, man. I mean, you're doing some amazing stuff, and I'm looking at it, and everything just looks like it's something that you've been doing for years. It doesn't look like something that just started, within the past year or so. So, I mean, hats off to both of you. It's just amazing, just the presentation of everything, and just just the diversity of all the models and everything. It just looks like a very established brand. So you've all done a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. And so, DC, I want to kind of get an idea of the timeline. Like, how long was it from the idea that when you got the idea to say, you know what, we need to collaborate on this thing, to when you actually officially were partners and you actually had the clothes ready to roll?
Sure, that's a great question. In terms of a timeline, I've always kind of, like I said, I'm a musician, so and I'm a DJ, so I kind of know what beat goes with what. So I was really good at DJ. I kind of always knew what what people would dance to in a sense, right? So I always had a certain kind of style, but you had to please the overall crowd, not just the individual. Again, I would always play with certain images and logo concepts. They would just kind of speak to me. I was like, man, that's hot right there. How can I take this and what would this go with? So the first image was simply the word Coco, C-O-C-O, but it was actually it's a reverse. It's almost like a truncated or squished down C is the zero. So is the O. So I said, well, that's a really hot look right there. But again, there was a conflict between that and Coco Chanel. We didn't want to be, Coco Chanel or Coco whatever. And I didn't want to be typically like a lot of people come out with brands, but they don't seem to speak to a mature crowd, a middle-aged crowd, a crowd that can wear a more casual outfit. I'm still in the office place. The atmosphere is now more relaxed with the millennials coming into the atmosphere. They're not wearing as many suits. We needed some ready to wear clothing that spoke to us that wasn't, I'm gonna say scary or gaudy or ratchet, or really dark in its image. I wanted something to kind of represent this audience here, professionals who like to dress well, who can wear this to church, to work, everywhere. So the timeline, I would always play with logos. So I had a million of them and a million different ideas. So this one really spoke to me, and I would always show them to her. And I was like, well, what do you think of this? And what do you think of that? She was like, well, it's a nice thing. Make me a t-shirt. So the timeline, I made Rosetta that t-shirt. I think we officially inked this company in August of 2019. I made her a t-shirt probably maybe a month before that time frame. She wore it to work. And of course, it's always about a need, right? So even though it has a nice look, we still have to know, is there a want, right? So what you refer to as A/B testing. So she tested it at work. Her being very popular and people seeing her wear something different. So it went from a t-shirt into leggings, right? So leggings are really hot. She had a workplace where they dress very casually. So I went from t-shirts to leggings, from leggings to a tennis shoe design. She displayed the tennis shoe design to her. She happened to go to her dentist, and the dentist saw the tennis shoe design. He wanted to invest in it. I didn't need his money, but I took his money. And and then the guy said, well, what's for us, right? And I couldn't conceptualize, because I always said, well, this is for women, right? This is for a specific woman who wants to look a certain way, who doesn't have a problem spending. Now, if she's going to spend that much on a Louis bag, then I know she would spend this much for particularly a t-shirt. So the business model originally was to really just go back to her original business model, which she did with the Right Image. And that was to purchase clothes. We would buy that. And then we would host pop-up events locally, right? I could have like a little jazz, a little weekend kind of thing where people kind of go organize and say, this is something nice. And we'll call it Coco Collective. So I LLC'd the company, Coco Collective. And Coco Collective, it wasn't about us. It could be any designer, as long as they met that standard, collective image, to pretty much do not a party, but like a brief kind of pop-up event where you have music, food, and you're introducing people to clothes. Because what I found is that the clothes in Macy's and the stores that we go to, I couldn't necessarily, it kind of looked like everything else. Macy's now looks like Nordstrom. Nordstrom's looks like everything else. There was a time where you can go to Georgetown and get something really unique. I don't want to dress like my son, nor do I want to dress like a hood rat all the time. So it's like, well, what's out there for me? There was a time where I could still do custom clothes, but it's like, I'm not wearing as many suits today, or shirts and things like that. What can we really do? So I said, okay, we can bring together brands, and we could be one of the brands, and we'll do these pop-ups. But man, that spawned into me meeting a young lady who had actually two salons, actually two boutiques, one in Shirlington and the other one in Bethesda, Maryland. And I guess through my gift of gab, I was able to segue. That lady wanted to give us that Bethesda location. And when I tell you Bethesda Row, right across the street, it's right around the corner is Apple. We right there in the heart of uptown Bethesda, right? So Shayla allowed Rosetta to kind of do more A/B testing, where Rosetta was able to manage that store, right? Throughout the weekend, and we managed the store. We didn't really present too much of our products, but it was her personality that was drawn in the people. So again, we're doing A/B testing. We went from a concept into her modeling at work, the work, okay, friends and family is one thing, but what about people that you don't know? So then we moved that into the bishop, where she goes to church and I attend as well. He said, well, hey, you could set up your table outside of here. Okay, now we move from friends and family at work to friends, family, and maybe extended church members, some you know, some you don't know, at church. And now it's kind of game. I'm like, okay, well, what are they gravitating to? What are they liking, right? What is the feedback that I'm getting? What kind of energy? What do I need to create as opposed to what do I want to create? See what I'm saying? So again, back to the DJ concept. Don't play what you want to play. Play what the people want to hear, but make sure it doesn't move beyond your image of what you're actually trying to do. So that's really the timeline. So 2019, we inked it. And I tell you, it took off from there. And the guys said, well, hey, well, what do we want? I created something funky for the guys. Then we came up with a unique name, Coco, and then I put Bomani on the end of it. So this is kind of, to kind of get us into a momentum of supporting Black businesses, supporting each other, supporting a brand that looks as good as Gucci and Prada, but it's not gaudy, So Coco meaning basically chocolate, Bomani meaning warrior, because we all fight through everything. So Bomani is an African name that actually means warrior. And then we push through all of these adversities, having contracts, not having contracts, furloughs, to being laid off, to boyfriend leaving, whatever we do as a culture, culturally, we are warriors, because that's what allowed us to be here today. So when we had the stamp of the friends and family at work, we had the stamp with the people at church, and then we said, okay, well, what's the real test? We got to do some vending. When we really stepped out there, which was actually February 14th was our first vending event. And I got to tell you, it took me back. I didn't expect the overwhelming response. It was a Valentine's Day event. There were multiple vendors in the in this kind of lobby, and I'll let Rosetta take it from there.
So at that event, we were very surprised because we had actually only signed up for one day on that Friday, and because it was Valentine's weekend, it was husband, wife team, or, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. And so they were at a ball. So they kept walking by, and it was probably at least 20 vendors there. But they kept walking by. And so by the time the ball was over, people were we had some people who did stop by and buy. So, you're never really sure about, did they like our brand or not? But once they started coming out, it was so many people coming by our table asking, were we going to be there the next day? And me and Adisa, we looked at each other and we're like, well, I think we need to come back. And so, and we did. We went back there the next day. And the husband-wife teams, they were buying together. Our table, it popped so fast that night. We were just high-fiving each other like under the table, like, yes, we got some stuff and people are buying. And we didn't know anybody. Most of the events we go to, we know people. We were only in Oakton, Virginia, and we did not know a soul at this event. And so that was the test for us, because once those people started buying and did not know us, and it was nice seeing husbands tell their wife, oh yeah, babe, go over there and get whatever you want. Yes, dear, come on over. Yes. Don't spend that money. So and with Adisa there, he's able, because a lot of men most men never expect vendors to have anything for them. And so they'll just scan the table, but if they're not looking, they're just thinking whatever's on that table is probably for women. And so I would nudge Adisa, just kind of say, kind of talk to the guy. So once he starts talking to the guy and let them know that we have men apparel, they were buying. And I don't mean buying a little bit, they were buying. We had to come back. We were ordering gear for these men, and it was great. It was great. And then we knew we were like, okay, we're really on to something. It's just not friends and family, people that we know that are saying, hey, we support you. But it was people that we did not know that said, your stuff is so.
So I want to commend the two of you because you said something that's really near and dear to my heart when it comes to business. First off, you talked about the A/B testing, and then you use the metaphor of the DJ, where it's not about playing what you like, but playing what the people want. And I think that's so critical. And I think that's got to be a big key to your success, is that you are so tuned in to what people like and what they want, not what you think looks good.
That's absolutely right. Like Ro mentioned before, we try to play. We are humble because we just started, in a sense. It is a little overwhelming. We've been granted opportunities, even during like the Thanksgiving holiday. Somebody wanted to give us a kiosk at Black Friday, both Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at Potomac Mills Mall. We were not ready, because we just were not ready, and we appreciated, the love, but again, it's about not just putting anything on. You want a quality product, number one. You want a product that somebody gives you, that's their hard-earned money, right? So you want to support, like, hey, okay, I support you because you're a Black business. That's great, but beyond all of that, do you really appreciate the clothing? Is this something that you really want to wear and you can see yourself, wearing this in certain scenarios? And a lot of times, that's absolutely what we're getting. We get a lot of love, and I feed off of that energy, and I feed off of the feedback so that I can adjust some of the themes and some of the concepts. I mean, our basic colors are black and white because the logo is primarily black or white. I mean, we can put little colors in it and do all different kind of stuff. And we want to keep a very clean line so that visually it's impacting, it's clean. You don't necessarily see it as a Black band or whoever, I don't put myself out there as the designer. A lot of times I say, hey, it's Ro. And Ro's like, you don't want part of it? It's like, well, that's not really part of it. I mean, because it's a lot that goes into it, right? It's a visual thing. It's like looking at a pretty woman or a handsome man, it'll turn your head, right? So it's like, okay, wow, that's nice right there, right? Everything that we're designing or we're segueing into may not necessarily be a t-shirt. I'm getting into the printed textiles now. We're going to do printing of the fabric and making intricate designs into the fabric, subtle things, clean lines that we feel like, hey, you know what, that is nice. Because I know what quality is, and I can tell you guys do too. We know what quality is in a product. And if it's a reasonable price, we'll buy it, and if it's a Black-owned company, they're going to buy it, so that's kind of how I kind of try to stay humble. It's always listen to the collective sound of the audience. Basically, what are they asking for? And they do ask for some crazy things sometimes, but I do incorporate it. Like this one guy said, hey, can you do an embossed stamp, like much like a notary type stamp where you have a raised type silicone emboss? And I said, okay, that's kind of hot. And I actually designed a leather jacket that actually has one of our designs embossed on the back. But business, and all you guys notice, it's all about relationships, right? So she was chosen because she's Rosetta, and her relationships expand, exponentially. There are a lot of cocoa people out there, but not quite Rosetta. Business, we're dealing with foreign markets. When I did my leather jacket, it came out beautifully, but I'm dealing with Pakistan, I'm dealing with China, I'm dealing with the tariffs, the economy. Now we're dealing with COVID, which really hurt us because we had a lot of huge vending events that were coming up. And this is why she was really chosen, because even though COVID has hit us and we weren't able to attend maybe some of the large conferences we had planned, like 6,000, 7,000, 10,000 people conferences would have been huge numbers for us, or even some of the conventions that I wanted to attend, just to introduce my brand and see what other people are doing for business partnerships and relationships. We have segued into going live, and going live is even better than the vending table.
Wow.
So when she told me that she was going live on a Friday night and she was calling it Cocoa After Dark, And I said, you're doing better than vending. And I know what we do average per hour when we're vending, you know, on an average, it's anywhere between $300 to $800 an hour vending. And I said, you're doing better than that on a 1 hour show, but you sitting up in your house with a cell phone. I said, hold up, you know. So we have truly been blessed to continue, you know, again, she's working, I'm still doing my thing, consulting with AT&T and supporting this business model and feeding it. And it's really, I've been blessed. Go ahead.
So you mentioned something I want to hit on. So you sound like you made a business pivot with this COVID-19. One of the things you've done is you're doing live events. So Rosetta, what other things have you done just in light of this pandemic situation to still be viable?
Well, you know, it was interesting because I was sitting here thinking we had actually stocked up on apparel for these vending events that we were supposed to attend. And so, you know, it was like, I was like, Lord, what am I going to do? Mm-hmm. And so it just came to me. I was like, Lord must have sent it to me because go live. And I'm thinking, go live? And I've never stood behind this camera to go live with anything other than talking to friends on the phone. And so, you know, during this whole COVID crisis, there's nowhere to go to get prompts or anything to, I'm thinking, how am I going to go live? What am I going to go live with? How would it look? And I just started using what I had, you know, the stuff that I carry on my table when I'm out vending. And I told Adisa, I said, I'm going to go live. And he was like, oh, Lord. I said, all you can do is try. I said, QVC started years ago and they haven't stopped. I said, so you know what? I'm going to try it. And, you know, it was so funny because I didn't really invite people. I just told people, you know, some people, yeah, I'm going to go live. And so I didn't send out any invitations. I just thought whoever comes on and see me on, you know, and that's what happened. The first weekend, I've probably been doing it now for about a month. And now everybody looks forward. They're calling me on Friday. Are you going live tonight? I did a special edition on a Tuesday night. I was like, special edition Tuesday with Cocoa After Dark. I tried it on Instagram. And everywhere, every night that I've done it, I'm always selling. Even I tell you, it was one night I thought, I have failed. I have not made any sales. I think I might have had somebody say, I think I want number, blah, blah, blah. And when I hung up when I cut off the live, I hadn't made a sale. Not one, no cash had hit my Cash App to say I made a sale. And I tell you what, within an hour, I probably had about 8 sales. People who were starting to review and go back. And I mean, from Texas to North Carolina to this area, the women were sending me messages on Messenger. I need number 7. I need number 14. I need number 3. And me and Connell, Adisa always say to him, we have this thing about winning. And so, you know, he'll always say, did you make a sale today? And I said, what do we say? Adisa, what do we say?
We win.
If I open up the bag.
We open up the box. Somebody always says, we open up the trunk, they're going to buy something every time. Every time.
Wow. So
during this COVID time.
Go ahead.
So Rosette, I wanted to say, you know, and I know a lot about you and your family, right? You come from a family of entrepreneurs. Eric, you may remember Marcia, who was one of our guests last year. You know, it's part of the family. So just Rosetta, can you just share a little bit about your family and how business is in your family?
Yeah, so my family is actually a catering family. Was a catering family. My father was had a business called Wright's Catering Service, which incorporated everybody in the family. We all had to work to help it run smoothly. So we've done that like all of my life. Wright's Catering Service. My brother owns a car detailing, now power washing service, Metro Mobile. My sister Marcia Wright, who's a lawyer and an entrepreneur as a chef. She does stews. Um, I have a younger sister who has a doggy sitting business. Uh, so, and I mean, if you're from Arlington, you know everybody in Arlington has a dog, and so her business is booming. My older sister, who now passed away, but she had her business, which she came on under me and named her clothing business Pretty Impressive. So we all had picked up something and ran with it. So yeah, that's my family.
So I guess I'm curious, like, how did those examples impact you? So I guess when you're growing up, you look around, everybody's got some type of business. I mean, how did that impact you in your way of thinking and going about things?
Well, you know, my father used to, I mean, he would go from, he was a baker at Giant Food for 32 years. And then he, when he retired, he would do a mail run. I mean, a newspaper. He did the newspaper business. He was still a bartender, and my father's business wasn't just any type of catering business. I mean, it was for the senators. Even when even when Nixon was president, he did Nixon's daughter's wedding. He did a lot of senators in Virginia, doctors, lawyers. They called on Wright's Catering Service, and he worked with a lot of men who were butlers at the White House. So they used to have an event called the Private Butlers Association. So I saw these men and women work very hard as entrepreneurs, and it was always their side job. And my father used to always be like, "You gotta have something else to do. It's some money to be made. You just have to go get it, basically." And so, as we grew up, it was always something else, and I didn't really know what my something else was going to be. Once I came right out of high school and went straight to Verizon, I always knew I loved the clothing business. I always used to think I wanted a boutique. Just didn't know how it was going to come about. But once my cousin had introduced me to the apparel mart and I saw what I could do, it just clicked. And I was like, that is it. I can sell clothes. And so that's how it worked for me. And it's been doing wonderfully.
Awesome. So we're here on the 30-minute hour podcast. We've got Rosetta Wright and Adisa Bomani. And we're going to shift gears a little bit because I want them to be able to show some examples of their clothing line. I've got the Instagram page. So Adisa, certainly feel free to kind of walk us through here. I'm going to share this so we can all see it. All right, so hopefully you can see the Instagram screen. So Adisa, you want to kind of show some, where do you want me to click?
I guess, let's see. You can click at the first one right here.
Right here?
Right, yeah, right.
Okay. Uh-huh.
So right here, this is a something that we call Talia. It's actually named after a young lady that we know in church, Talia. And we kind of met her style and profile. This is actually a flock garment that kind of gives you like a vertical brand look. So if you had a blazer on, you could still see the logo emulating through the blazer. So this is a very chic look that's basically worn for both work, ready to wear, kind of casual or even church. So a lot of people are actually wearing our brand actually in church. This video actually scrolls through a few things if you click that play button there. Yeah, so that's Rosetta Flossing her Coco Bomani money,
Rosetta is flossing. All right.
she's flossing. That's this weekend as she because people need to see Black women in business striving to do something different, right? I mean, all we need is a little bit of encouragement. At least for me and my business model. If I saw somebody else who couldn't read or write, but they ended up getting a multi-million-dollar 5-year federal contract, and I'm like, yo, how do you do that? I can do the same thing. So a lot of people really need encouragement. And visually, we just need to see ourselves doing it. So I thought this captured the right image for her and the brand, basically. Not really to floss, but kind of say, just move on out in it into your next. Because a lot of us are afraid and don't really know what it takes. And a lot of times, a lot of our friends and family and lookers on could be quite haters. Quite discouraging.
Okay.
Yeah. On to the next. This is a this guy. He's actually a bishop or pastor, I think. And he saw what I call the fade in, right? I just kind of did something unique in the logo here. This guy's like a 3X. So big guys, 3X, 4X, 5X guys have and even women have a really difficult time finding clothes that they can wear that don't make them look too frumpy, or Black make you look a little smaller anyway, and something they can kind of represent casually in their jeans, and it's not too dark. I mean, hey, big guys need love too.
That's right. That's right.
That's right. You know what I mean? So, and it's very hard for them to find clothes that fit right. It's not, it's nothing worse than seeing big guys in tight, skinny leg pants. I mean, he still wants to basically what, this is me and this is my swag, and even expression on his face. And he's been really supportive in this design here.
That's where that honesty comes in. You got to tell Ted, no, the skinny leg jeans, Ted. No.
Yeah, you can't do it.
Can't do it, Ted. That's not good.
No.
You don't want to come outside looking like Tom Jones. That's
No.
And we're just not built like that,
Right. No. Right.
Right. This is a video. It kind of plays a montage of multiple things here. This is more or less the collective side of what we were doing. This kind of represents a lot of different brands that we will bring in and resell under our brand. We are going through a bit of a learning experience as we purchase other people's brands and try to resell them, because it does have to meet the quality. My whole thing is it got to be equal to or greater than what we're doing. And if it's not, we can't accept it, right? We have to kind of set a standard of quality of what we want to represent. And some of these clothes do, but then again, we don't want to look like everybody else. So if you see it here, then turn around, another girl has it on, or so somebody else's site. It's a very fine things that we're trying to do to kind of differentiate ourselves.
Yeah, I think that kind of goes back to what I said in the opening. I think the power of your line is that it is different. Like when I look at this, I don't see Macy's or Nordstrom's or something else. This is unique, and I think that's a big part of the appeal.
Right. I mean, because it is catered towards an African woman, curvy. We've even come up with a thing called Coco Curves, for plus size women, because really plus size women struggle, number one, with their size. Some are confident in it, but most really struggle with, hey, I'm sexy too, or I can be appealing as well, but there's clothes that I can't find to really make me look that way, in a sense. So we try to appeal to all sizes and demographics, and it's not really an ethnic brand where it's all Black, but we do try to represent our excellence behind it. So we've had pretty much every ethnicity purchase our brand, but this brand is definitely rooted in Africa, because I needed a cultural linkage with that. As today's society, we're just not supporting each other, and you're just kind of separating ourselves from really, our roots, but it's our roots that we return to. So collectively, we will grow. So, when somebody wears, even in this show, the appreciation of you guys giving us a platform on here to talk, tells us, hey, it's been exposed. So for me doing data analytics, I will put this on a influencer. That influencer might have 1,700 hits, of those 1,700 unique hits, if it's 10% of them that look, that buy, that's 170 people that's going to purchase. Even on a small scale at $10, 170 people purchase, that's $1,700. And our average point of sale is about $30, as you can kind of see. So exponential marketing, a lot of this goes into it, for people to look like us. And it's very difficult to even find models, if I want to do, things to kind of put them on. So anybody that wears the shirt, we expose them.
Awesome. Yeah,
So,
go ahead, Ted.
So one thing I wanted to ask you, Adisa, is it's interesting. You talked about your background. You talked about, working in government contracting. You talked about going to, school and at UDC and mass communication, and that you were, a fashionable person, but then now you're a designer. Usually you would think that someone said that they took some training classes in fashion design, or they went to college and a degree was in fashion design. Like, where did that come from? Or just an eye for just creating those designs and putting things together?
Honestly, I couldn't consider myself a designer. I just kind of know. I tell Ro all the time, I know it when I see it. I can't explain it. I can't really explain it. It's like a feeling. It's like I know it when I see it. It's like, I can't really explain it. I am not a professional designer. You're absolutely right. That is not my background. I did draw a little bit, back in the day, just kind of recreationally, but I never took on fashion design, kind of clothing design. That wasn't my circle. It wasn't necessarily my thing. But I did know what worked. I did know what I liked. And it's not always about a name brand. Oftentimes, we could pick out things and put those clothes together in such a subtle way that people will come up to me and say, hey, man, that's really nice. Where'd you do that? Or how'd you do that? Like, it's nothing, it's just a t-shirt. Like tonight, I'm wearing a t-shirt and a blazer, and a chain on. Or sometimes I might have a Coco Bomani, up under here. It's all about really how you make it flow. You can make it flow as long as it's not too much, it's not too gaudy. It's a really nice, in a sense, people call it smooth kind of look, for men and women. So I know it when I see it. So it's really now a difficult thing to kind of say, okay, well, what do I come up with next? That's really being the challenge, that I'm not taking someone else's concepts and biting them. How do I come up with a new design? So I'm not going to give away all my magic here, but I do bounce it off a couple of sources, right? I do use Pinterest for inspiration. I will reach out to Fiverr and say, hey, design this, come up with concepts. Oftentimes they might come up with something that I kind of like that I can kind of spawn off. So it's really like, that's speaking to me. Let me keep this moving from here. I'll bounce it off of Ro. She'll say she likes this, she likes that. Some things she doesn't like. We have a design. If you show him the dope shirt, she hated that design at first. I knew that she wouldn't like it, right? And I even made a tennis shoe, with the dope on it. And I know the connotative thing, but I said, okay, listen, we got to appeal to the demographic, And when we rolled out that dope design and people was like, oh man, because I really wasn't going to show it to her because I knew her background in church and what it said and everything. But there's a certain demographic out here that loves this shirt, right? It's not about dope being stupid or dope selling an illegal drug, but it's basically everything that we touch, we turn into a euphoric experience. Because a dope is nothing but dopamine, right? So it's a euphoric experience. And you wear the shirt, it makes you more powerful / euphoric, right? So it's a lot of hidden messages and subliminal type things, that I've kind of put into this. It's all about, I know it's kind of weird, but that's the vibration that makes it work. So I'm not a designer, but I can hear that vibration very clearly when it speaks to me. And what's strange is like when people ask me to do it and they say, hey, I need this, I can't. It's like it's almost just shuts down. So many people have come to Ro and say, hey, can you do it for me? Can you do this for me? And I'm like, you know, I can't. I'm, you know, it's just like, you know, we got to move from following and watching into maybe at least walking out on the water ourselves. If we fall, but you got to try. So I just try to listen to the subtle things. I break down the distractions of life and just kind of listen to what's what, take long drives like we did over the weekend when Ro was flossing her Coco Bomani in the convertible. So those type of things and just good positive people and energies around you, man, it opens up. It's almost like a natural high. So that's when the designs come to me. Really, I can see something and it just, boom, it just sparks.
So let me ask you this question, Rosetta. You know, there's a lot of people like that would like to get into fashion, to start their own line. I mean, are there any suggestions that you would have for them on how to get started, or just any lessons learned that either of you can share?
I think it really all depends on what a person wants to sell. I mean, you know, like you said, some people are actually fashion designers. So they have to figure out what they have to use, you know, what kind of garments can they draw up what they like. You know, I did it from a point where I knew what I liked that I could resell. And so I can go and pick out a line of a clothing line and say, this is what my women would wear. So I really think you just have to know what you like, because they could possibly like the girls that wear all bodycon dresses. So nowadays it's so easy for someone to go online and attach a link to somebody else's line that's selling one type of dress. And they can start up right then. They don't have to put up any money. They may just have to pay $30 a month maybe for somebody else's website to link to theirs, and they could sell somebody else's garment, but it's not really speaking to if it's them. You know, I was glad that we were able to find something that is ours, that, you know, it was, but you have to put work in. It's not easy. We work at this every day.
It's not easy. It's a lot of fights. A lot of fights. It's a lot of back end on it as well.
Yeah.
If I had to give the people any type of advice, you know, have your own money, right? You know, because money is a key factor. You're going to need money to incorporate. You're going to need money to do some A/B testing. You're going to need money if you're purchasing whatever you're going to buy, you know, and money will come if you're making money, right? So if we're making money, trust me, people will knock on our doors and now they want part because they can feel that they could make a small percentage just by investing money and making money. But you have to show them that you're making money. You have to show them that there's an audience. You have to show them, even if they aren't buying, you have to show them through metrics, right? Like I said, I come from, you know, an IT background. So, hey, if I'm getting 500 hits on my website, that's solid metrics. Those are unique metrics, right? And a certain percentage of those individuals might buy. If every time that Rosetta goes live and we can say, hey, we were live for an hour and a half and we made $800, that's roughly $800 an hour. You multiply that by 2,080 man hours a year, you know, hey, that's a pretty good salary. That's almost $800,000 a year. If you divide that by 2, that's $400,000 a year.
Well, you about to have me selling some shirts, putting them numbers out there like that. I'm about to be shaking some Bomani shirts, a distributor for you or something. You talking those type of numbers? Come on, man.
That's the truth, though. The numbers don't lie. So, you know, check the board, right? So we are just doing it because it's business, right? Those are the numbers. So it's business. If it wasn't making sense, okay, we just wearing shirts. She ran me out come up with a new design, and we're not making money. I would have to somehow say, you know, I need to kind of find a different model. But this has been very, successful for us, just on a small scale. And really, the best is yet to come. I mean, I have some really large things that I'm thinking about doing that just don't incorporate our brand. But, you know, we're trying to be the next for the most part. Not just trying to be, we're above everybody, but the more people hear about it, the more people buy platforms and things like that. You know, if I just put the right shirt on the right person, right?
Yeah. One thing I like about math takes the emotion out of the equation, right? This is the math. These are the numbers.
Yeah.
Hey,
Exactly.
that's awesome.
Exactly.
So how can our followers connect with you to get the shirts? I know they want to floss like Rosetta. So how can they, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
Well, they can go on our website. They can follow us on Instagram. They can ping us, or me. And basically, follow me on Facebook. Follow our line on Facebook. I'm Rosetta M. Wright on Facebook. We also are Coco Bomani on Facebook. On Instagram, we're Coco_Bomani. And our website is cocobomani.com.
Right. And another way that they can get into, like I said, I'm the IT guy, so I set it up. They can, anybody watching this, we'll give them 10%, 20% discount. All they have to do is text 555, I think it's 555-888 Kobo 2020. So if you text that, we got the hookup. So, again, Kobo 2020 555-888.
All right.
We can get you to hook up, get you whatever you need, for your viewing audience. So, because they watched, because they heard it here, or they just found out about it, we want to, save them a little bit on their money, So our shirts are average about $30, $35. We're trying to keep it very, simple and plain. At first, I was in the rafters with, hey, $150 t-shirt, but people aren't going to buy that in a sense. But
right.
Some of our hoodies, I think the most expensive one might be about $60 or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're at the point of the show where we're going to go around the horn. And this is the opportunity for each of us to leave a final closing thought for the people to remember. So starting with Rosetta, what is your final thought you want to leave with the people watching this? Rosetta, can you hear?
Oh, okay.
Rosetta was thinking about the final thought.
No, I was thinking about the final thought. I think my final thought is believe God. If He spoke something to you, I think you have to step out in it. That is my thought. Believe God.
That's profound. So if He spoke something to you, you have to step out in it.
You have to step out in it.
And I bet that's helped quite a few folks that are watching us. Thank you for sharing that. Adisa?
I guess my final thought was that you have to move from following and watching into doing. So that has definitely been my mantra this year, is to walk your path despite all naysayers. So again, my final thought is to move from following into walking what's for you, and you will get lessons in that. Things be like, oh, make this turn, make that decision, make that decision. At least you're doing you, as opposed to watching. But you need to learn through example first. A lot of people, at least the younger generation, they feel as though they have all of the answers. Whereas, if you learn, there are people who have already done what we want to do. There's nothing new. It's just stuff that, we haven't done or haven't seen yet. So we're simply walking it out regardless. I think we were successful when we started doing it. When we made the first shirt, I said we're successful. When we made the first dollar, I said we're successful. So you set your success margins based upon real achievements. Just waking up the next day saying, you know what, I'm still at it. You're successful.
Wow. Fantastic. That's great. Well, Ted, once again, you got a tough act to follow.
And you always have me following the guests, and they always give such a great final thought. I think a lot about just being a business person myself and just thinking about partnerships. I've been in several partnerships, some that have gone great and some that have not gone that great. And I listened to you, Adisa, when you said that Rosetta was chosen. And I thought that was a powerful statement, because as a business person and what you were thinking, like when you talk about music, and you want the beats to be right, right? You're talking about, when you're putting together, a look, and you want it to be right. So you had to know that Rosetta was going to be the right partner for you, right? And look, and no pun in that with the last name Wright, right?
Like I did that.
Yeah, you like that.
Yeah.
Yes, right. But you knew that was the right partner for you, and that really just resonated with me, because you had to know she had what you needed from a capability standpoint, that she had the image that you wanted, because that was very important, right? The look that you wanted, and professionalism, but then that hunger and drive, because in the beginning, I mean, that's what it's going to take, and you have to continue on that. And I've popped my head in on Rosetta's live events, and I just want to say hello every time, and she's like, "Hello, Ted Fales," and then she just kind of goes back to it, and I feel real good about it. But I mean, you got the right one, man, definitely. So continued success to both of you, and hopefully you all will come back and see us, and in the future, and continue to tell us how things are going.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. We got some shirts coming out to you guys too. Pro bono, don't worry about it.
Yeah. Oh man, fantastic.
One other thing I wanted to say is, one of our viewers, Kim Leonard, said, "Ted, make sure you get the code, because I'm going to IM you." So if you all can again give that code again, so that Kim can IM me and say hello, but not to ask me for the code, because I may forget. So I want you to give that to him again, please.
Sure. I saw Kim just join us actually on Instagram. Hello, Kim. I did follow her back. And the code is actually COBO 2020. No, hold on. I'm sorry. COBO 20K. That's the code. 20K. COBO 20K.
And I'll put it in the comments too.
COBO 20K.
COBO 20K.
Yeah. And you text 555-888 COBO 20K.
Right. Fantastic.
Thank you.
All right. And so my closing thought is, it's all about being unique. And I look at your offering, and it's just such a unique style. It's different. It doesn't look like the other products that are out there. It doesn't look like the other shirts that are out there. And I think society conditions us to want to be alike, right? You want to be a carbon copy of something. But like, even if you think of like the music artists that we admire the most, when their song comes on, you don't have to say, "Oh, who's that?" Like if a Michael Jackson song comes on, you're not like, "Who's that?" You already know, because they have a unique sound. And I think that's where we really need to get to from a business standpoint. What makes you stand out? And I brought up the thing with Dennis Rodman. With Dennis Rodman, once he became unique, once he developed his own style, that's when everything took off. He became world famous, and he's meeting with dictators in Korea and all this other stuff. But so I just think there's so much power in being unique, and I applaud the two of you for bringing that unique style. And I'm looking forward to wearing my unique shirt when it comes.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
That's right.
And I have to take a picture of myself flossing.
Yeah.
And it's good to know. It's good to know that they're not just thinking of the Smedium brother, that they got something for the full.
That's right.
The brother. The full figure brother.
That's
so
right.
We're looking forward to that.
Can you make mine in an extra medium?
you want medium light.
Right. Well, I told y'all at the beginning, this is definitely not your everyday podcast. And it looks like we have another comment coming through. Continued success to Coco Bomani. I'll share with my network on social media. Outstanding. Definitely appreciate that. We definitely want to thank Disa and Rosetta for joining us on the 30 Minute Hour podcast. Again, it's not your everyday podcast. you can connect with us right here on the 30-minute hour Facebook page. Don't forget that on Wednesdays at 6 o'clock, we do the 30-minute hour live on lockdown. And that's where we have comedians and we present the lighter side of social distancing. Just prepare to laugh and have a great time. Join us this Wednesday at 6 o'clock. Before I sign off, Ted, did you have anything else you wanted to say to the good people?
No. No, this has been an amazing show, Rosetta. Adisa, thank you so much again. This has been great. You know, I've been bugging Rosetta for the longest about this, so I know you're busy. I know you got some shirts, some product to sell, so appreciate you you both taking some time out for us this evening.
Thank you so much.
Also, just wanted to add that on our Coco Bomani page, Friday night, we're going live at 9 p.m.
9 p.m.
Friday night, 9 p.m. Be there. All right. And until next time, have a great one.
Thank you.